Knowing how to use Stringline properly is a total game changer for any job. The skill of using Stringline will allow you to do more and increase accuracy only possible with this tool. Using a Stringline properly is what will set you apart. In this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know to use Stringline properly. From leveling impossibly long distances, tying string like a pro, and measuring accurately. Stringline is excellent at setting level or grade over a very long distance. Additionally, it remains a reference point to build up to or across the line. Let's set a line to build an imaginary edge. We'll use a couple of nails on each side where we want our edge to go. Then we'll tie our string line to the nails. We'll go over making fast and professional knots a little later in the video. Then when we tie our line, we have to pull it tight. And just like that, we have a nearly perfect straight line which we can use as a reference point. However, let's say we don't just want the line to be straight, but we also want it to be level. We could achieve level with either an expensive laser level or a simple bubble level that hangs off your line. We'll hang the level on the string and center it in between to account for any sag that the string might have. We take a look at the level and see how we're doing. We're clearly high on the left side, so we go to our left string and drop it down just a bit and check again. And perfect, we're right on level. But don't be fooled. These levels can often be off by a bit, so pull the level off the string and turn it around. Hang it back on the string, and if your reading is the same, chances are your level is good, as switching it over will account for any inconsistencies in the level. If you do, however, have a false reading and showing different levels when you turn it around, there's a chance you could have some plastic burrs on the edges if it's a new level. So try scraping the level back and forth on the line a little bit and see if that level is correct now. Another common occurrence is that the level will pop out of its plastic shell. So try pushing the level down into the plastic to make sure it's sitting correctly. And just like that, we have a straight level line that could span major distances. This alone is an infinitely useful tool. You can use this to check level, to check straightness, to check grade, fences, buildings, and much more. A string line can also give us plumb, which is the opposite of level. To do this, we just have to hang a heavy object off of the line and hold the line up, and just like that, we have a perfectly plumb line. Now, a little later in this video, we're going to talk about the expert skills used for measuring and squaring string line. But before that, let's go over the knots used to tie string line. Tying string line is not as simple as it might seem. The tying techniques I'm going to show save time and make you more efficient. More importantly, they don't damage the string or leave knots that are impossible to undo, so you can keep using that string for dozens of jobs. The first knot is going to be at the start of your line. Many people will just add a loop at the end of the string with an overhand knot. This is done by making a loop, then wrap this loop around your finger and make some room under your finger. Push the end of the loop through the hole on the back side of your hand. And just like that, we have a simple and common knot. This way we have a loop we could hang on any nail or anything whenever necessary. Another knot that is a better option is the cow's hitch. The cow's hitch is easy to make and extremely easy to undo. The benefit of this knot is that you could pull a new line without cutting your line or making knots that are impossible to remove. Just keep in mind that if your line is new and a little bit waxy, the cow's hitch may not hold as well. Though with a bit of use, a cow hitch knot will have a strong hold. To make this knot, you make a loop with your string. Now holding the loop, take your thumb and index finger and put it through the loop. Then grab the string from underneath your fingers. Release the hand that was holding the loop and pull the string. And in between your fingertips is the knot. With practice, this knot becomes very quick and easy to make. Then you just pull this over your nail and pull it tight. When using a stake to measure, the cow hitch also works particularly well here. However, keep in mind that for your knot to be secure, the string needs to be placed in its particular position where it's pulling the loop tighter. If we turn the knot around, we can see that the string comes loose. It's also important to consider which side is the correct side to measure to. A cow's hitch allows you to maintain a precise measurement. If we place the loop on the right side, it will keep that measurement. Or if we turn the knot around, we can use the left side measurement to maintain precision. Okay, and now we can move to our next stake or nail with our line. To get a proper straight line, the line has to be as tight as possible to counter any sagging in the string. To achieve this, we need to stretch the string and have a way to keep it tight without coming undone. A knot that works well for nails, it's what sometimes is known as the engineer's knot. To make this knot, make a loop. Then with your finger, twist that loop around 5 times. Put the loop over your nail and use one hand to hold the loose end and the other to pull the string tight. As you pull the string tight, the twists in the line will assist you in holding the line tight. Continue to grab the line and pull it as tight as you can without breaking the line. Then, when you feel it's tight enough, simply pull the loose end towards the nail with a little bit of tension, and the twists will become tighter and hold the line in place. And just like that, the string will be tight enough to play like a guitar. This knot is easy and secure, with the major benefit being that once you're done, you pull the line back away from the nail and it releases, leaving you with no knots to undo so you can continue to use that string. When it comes to stakes and boards, the other knot that works well is something known as a binder. This knot simply holds itself tight by the tension in the line. To make this knot, simply wrap the line around your board 1 or 2 times and pull that line tight. Once you have some tension in the line, you can pull the tight end over the loose end, and just like that, the line holds itself with the tension in the line. Continue to pull the line tighter and make sure it goes over the loose end and holds it by the tension in the line. And just like that, we have a tight line on a stake. You could also choose which side of the board the line sits on based on which direction you wrap the line. Once you're done, simply pull the line loose again, and just like that, there's no knots or anything to be undone, and you're ready to use this line again. With these 4 knots, you can pull nearly any string line you want quickly, efficiently, and securely. Now, string line is also a powerful tool in measuring, laying out, and squaring up your builds. When planning out any projects, small or large, you'll want to lay out some string line. It's useful to get a feeling for the space, and more importantly, to have a reference line to where to dig to start building any kind of structural. Knowing how to set string line and how to get it just right will make all the difference in the accuracy of your builds. Let's go into our yard and set up an imaginary structure to see some of these techniques. To do this, we'll first mark our corners with 10-inch spikes. 2 tape measures help quickly square up the marks by calculating the hypotenuse. Our walls are 10 foot, so our diagonal should be 14.14 feet. So we'll pull our diagonal and the 10-foot wall, and the intersection of these 2 measurements is the correct location for square. We'll use this same technique for our final mark. Then we'll set some stakes beyond our build 2 feet and offset by 6 inches, with 2 stakes on each corner. Then we'll determine our height on the first corner and screw in our batter board with a level. We will then pull a string line from the top of this board to the next corner, and we'll use the string line level to level the string line. And with our string line level, we can add our board to the top of the line. And like that, we have 2 boards at the same level. Then we repeat this step for the other 2 corners. Once we've set our line and leveled 3 sides with our string, our final space can help us confirm that we actually done this correctly. If we set our string line to the top of the boards on each stake, we should get level without making any adjustments. And perfect, we have level. We can then use the length of the board to set and adjust our lines on nails, while also leaving the ground clear for working. To start, we'll set our first line where we want based on the spikes in the ground. We'll set the first nail and tie our cow's hitch to the line. Then we'll move to our next corner. Here we'll pull our line and set our next nail. Then we'll use an engineer's knot to pull this line tight and lock it in. And just like that, we have our first line. We can now start with our next line. The beauty of the cow's hitch is that we don't have to cut our line or put a knot in the middle of our line. We can continue to use it, we simply leave some slack in the line. Then we just pull the line to our next nail. And just like that, we'll go to our next corner, eyeball the line, and we'll set our nail and tie it up with an engineer's knot. Now, before we move forward, we have to make sure these 2 lines are perfectly square. We can visually check with a large square, though a neat secret to know is what's known as the 3-4-5 rule. The 3-4-5 rule essentially tells us that any measurement of 3 by 4, if perfectly square, will have a hypotenuse, or in other words, a diagonal line of exactly 5. And this works with all kinds of measurements. 30 by 40 inches will have a diagonal of 50 inches. So we can use this trick to make sure our lines are square. We measure out from the intersection 30 inches and mark the line with a Sharpie. Then on the other side we measure out 40 inches and make a mark. Now, if we measure the distance in between our marks, we should have exactly 50 inches. If we have less than 50 inches, the line needs to come out a bit more to increase that distance. If we have more than 50 inches, the line needs to come in a bit to decrease that distance. Alright, once we're getting close to 50 inches, we need to remeasure, make sure our marks are correctly, and make sure they haven't moved as we're adjusting it. So again, measure, adjust, and once you've reached exactly 50 inches in between, you know our lines are square. Now once we're square, we'll move to our next corner and again roughly set our line. Here we'll need to measure from our intersection to our next line exactly 10 feet in between. We'll move our line accordingly if necessary to get that spacing of 10 foot in between. Then again we'll use our 3, 4, 5 rule to set the next line square. Keep in mind to only move the third line, as the second line is already squared to the first line. Adjust the line accordingly till square. Finally, we can move to our final line. Again, roughly set your line, then measure 10 feet in between and adjust your line accordingly to have 10 feet in between your line. Then we can do the same to the other corner and again measure 10 foot in between. And just like that, our final line should be square. We can confirm that it is square using the 3, 4, 5 rule. And perfect. Just like that, we have a perfect layout to set posts, to dig, to build, to mark, and so on. If you ever plan on building anything, these tools will take your quality to the next level with speed and precision. If you're interested in any of these tools shown, there's Amazon links down below.